How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield.
Welcome to today's episode of Awakening the Feminine Within. And today I have an amazing guest with me, Rick Yee. He has a men's coaching business, well, men and women. And his specialty, well, his business is the Warrior's Way. And it's actually really amazing how we connected through my husband who found him, who was like, oh, you should go and connect with Rick. And so I'm super pumped because today we're going to be talking all about the healthy masculine and just what it's like, or from the men's perspective. I mean, even if you have any kind of man in your life, partner, friend, father, brother, whatever, you name it, it's just so eye-opening from a woman's perspective to be able to understand how they function, how they think, how, what is going to help them be more in their healthy masculine. So we're going to talk all about that today. But first and foremost, Rick, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us who you are, how you came to this space, and just all the good things.
All right. Good to see you again, Miriam. My name is Rick. I have a company called the Warrior's Way Mindset. So we work with everybody on this one, but I do primarily work with men. I have hundreds of men. We've had a few women's groups, and it's been very eye-opening, especially for the different curses that do plague women. So I'm sure we'll get into some of that stuff. But when it comes to where do I mostly work, I am a man's man. This is why people go like, this beard, that's my dude. Like, that's where I've been for most of the last decade, is just working with guys. I'm a published author. I wrote a book called Everything is a Choice. We get far into Stoicism. That first book is very indifferent. It's not about telling you what to do or how to do it, or my opinion. It's very objective and not subjective. But the next book is The Map Out of Hell, and this gets into the stuff that's been working for people for the last 10 years. We'll probably get into a lot of that stuff, everything from anger and depression and anxiety and fear and doubt. We get into all the pieces and how we are able to combat and fight those things. So it's all proven practices, and that's why I'm very excited when I get to hang out with someone like you, who is very good at asking the challenging questions and to see, like, does this guy hold up? Is he really able to do what he says, or did he just read about it? And I think people know the difference between inauthentic and authentic. But in this case, why the heck did I do this, and where did this come from? The reality is, whenever I work on purpose with people, you never know where your journey is going to take you. And I started off working in other businesses. I had a fitness company before this. I created some patents. I did some stuff, but I started realizing my natural aptitude, the more that I worked with people, was being able to find the patterns and mindset that was stopping people from achieving their goals. And so I started just leaning into, like, what's going on? Why are people yo-yoing? Why are people struggling with emotional eating? What is going on here? What is the patterns that's happening? And I started getting far more into psychology and then philosophy and getting into human behavior. And I started just taking down that rabbit hole. Then I started going into certification after certification in this program. I want to learn that style and cognitive behavioral stuff and nonviolent communication. I started going into all these different aspects to start learning and understanding. And I started realizing my gift and my talent was able to see people. I can see them. I see what's going on. I see pain. The reason this is so natural for me is because I grew up in Sparta. And what I say by growing up in Sparta is I grew up in Detroit. I grew up in a not nice area. If anybody's ever seen 8 Mile, I was only a couple miles from that. I grew up at 8 Mile. Telegraph is the area. And so the people who I grew up around, I even had one of the guys jump on one of my webinars who I grew up with. I haven't talked to him in years, and he started explaining. I don't think people understand when we say how crazy that was. We grew up in hell. We grew up in a really tough, aggressive, violent area, and our houses were impoverished and not well-to-do. It was tough. And so growing up in Sparta, it's made it so I can really relate to people through abuse, hostile environments, PTSD. I've had to go through every type of generational curse that I could break, everything from abandonment, addiction, to rejections, to, abuse in every way, physical and mental. Going through some really tough stuff, and we've had to rewire everything. So it's been working. And so I've taken a simplicity is genius approach and taken complex things, made them simple so people can use them in everyday life, and seems to be working.
That's so cool. Okay. So expand more on your background. So tell us, because I think what a lot of women, just for lack of knowledge, don't know is how a man can experience hurt and how he internalizes it And whether that comes from, a woman in his life or an experience in his life, and that can lead to, say the guy gets into a relationship, can lead to a lot of pain in terms of like communication. So what has been your experience? Like have you had an experience where you have felt emasculated, and what did that feel like for you? Because I think most women are like, oh, we don't really care, like whatever, patriarchy, it's stupid stuff. So, but I really because I feel like in the context of my work, we do need to understand what it's like. If we want to have a really healthy relationship with a man in our life, we do need to understand what that pain is like and what it looks like from a man's perspective. I feel like most men in today's society, and you can probably vouch for this, are emasculated, and how that is affecting their ability to give women what they want. Right? So what has been your experience, or have you had an experience where you have felt emasculated, and describe what that is like?
Yeah, emasculated is an interesting thing too. I feel like it falls under whenever I work with guys, this is actually going to be a long answer, Miriam, because that's multiple pieces in there. So bear with me on this one. There's a place this is going to go. Being emasculated, how does a man hurt? What is the transition from boy to man, and what does that look like? We'll just start from there, and then I'll work into where this is applied. When it comes to the transition from boy to man, there's a, Chris Rock thing where he talks about like, women are loved for who they are, but men are loved for what they provide. Well, during the teenage years, this isn't explained to a boy. And so little boys are loved for just being little boys, but there is a transition, especially in the dating world, where you can't even imagine a guy showing up on a date and going like, hey, Miriam, I'm glad we got to have our first date. I've already picked out places we're going to live. I know some ideas we're going to have. I'm already looking for like our life together is going to be so good. And you're like, hold on. We haven't even ordered food yet. You've already picked out where we're going to live. It's like, well, love me for who I am. Who cares what it is? Just love me for me. Like, don't worry about any of my stuff. Just love me for me. Well, we don't get that luxury. When we start going out, we realize very quickly, love me for me is not on the table. Well, what do you provide? What is your ambition? What are your dreams? What kind of car do you have? Where's your 5-year plan? You start getting into like, what's your resume for? What do you bring to the table? What's your potential? What is that you're trying to do in your life? Like we have questions. I got to learn who you are before I can rate and value what it is you're going to provide for my life to improve in some way, shape, or form. But guys aren't doing that. Guys aren't going out like, all right, Miriam, how much money do you make and what's my cut? Like, we're not doing that. We don't look at you for how much money you make or what degree do you have, so that way I can piggyback off of your success. It's not like that. So boys learn that we're not loved for being who we are. And we also very quickly learn that empathy is not on the table from our mates. We can be empathetic towards them and listen to them vent and be really concerned for their well-being and their pain and their hurt and their sorrow. But when it comes to guys, we're very rarely, our feelings don't really come up very often. And if so, we do realize it turns into a self-preservation. This leads into a part where, how did I have to learn how to deal with some hurt as a teenager? I was an abused kid. Like, I didn't understand the level of abuse, and I also repressed all of my feelings because of the difficulty I had to go through when my mom left. My dad was very abusive. There's a lot of really tough stuff that was going on, so I shut down all the emotions for a long time. Well, once I started realizing how different I was from other kids, and mind you, all the friends that I had also, the thing in common was we all had broken homes. And so I also realized, though, that my stories for the abuses that I had didn't match up with anybody else. And I started recognizing that this is not healthy. I'm not healthy. I'm not okay. I'm like 15. Here I was dating a girl at the time, and I started realizing how much damage had been done and that I'm not okay. And here I am, understandably, no shame on her because like she's 15 and has no clue how to handle this level of stuff. But here I am, like realizing I was terribly abused. I'm crying on the phone. I'm kind of falling apart. I'm kind of ugly face opening myself up here. Like, this was a lot to go through. I was processing years all in one moment, and she didn't know what to do. But after I did that with her, she dumped me. So I'm like, oh, shoot, when you open up your heart to a girl, you get dumped. Okay, all right, I'm learning what happens here. Noted. And any time that I would look at any moment, and this goes not just from women, but even like if I looked at my dad or looked at anybody else, any weakness, any sadness, anything I would show in this department was highly shamed. No matter what, it's rejected, it's shamed, you're put down, and guys learn very, very quickly. What are our coping mechanisms that we get to choose from? What are our options? Well, we got the grieving cycle coping mechanisms. First, we got denial. That's run away, hide, suppress. Well, guys learn quickly. Suppression is going to be the only option that works initially. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about my feelings. Push it down, move on. Just keep going, move forward. Just do the next thing. Well, suppression leads to expression, so it's going to, at some point, you're going to volcano. Well, what are the other options? The next would be bargaining, which goes into negotiation. These are your over-talkers, the people who interrupt a lot, the people who answer questions with questions, people who will try and compromise for peace. What do I have to give just to shut this up? What do I have to do? Like, these are the people who are going to not really be listening, but waiting to talk. Then you've got the next option is going to be attack. And these are the aggression. This is going to be the people who best defense is a good offense, and they get louder, meaner, aggressive, call names, start getting mean and attack. And then the last one is surrender. And this is going to be whatever. I give up. I'm not fighting anymore. You do whatever you want. I quit. This is going to be that aspect. It's the depression part to it. Well, all right. Suppression leads to expression. I have emotions. They've been pushed down. If I'm going to explode, it's going to be one of two options. It's not going to be negotiate. So it's going to be either I get real angry or I get real sad. Well, what happens when I get real sad? Well, I get guaranteed rejected. Guaranteed not going to work. You can't see that guy who's balled up in a corner and crying as confident. You don't see him as desirable. He's not chosen. In fact, how do bullies choose their target? Whoever appears to be the weakest. So going that direction is a guaranteed failed system. So we learn quickly if we're going to suppress something, it's going to be sadness. That doesn't work. And so what does work? Well, let's go into anger. Well, anger to the world was highly successful. Being a bad boy, that actually was very successful with girls, not women, girls. Highly successful because it was respected. Don't mess with him. He's crazy. He'll fight you. It was appreciated. If he'll fight people, he must be tough, and tough means protection. If he's loud and boisterous, well, loud and boisterous means confident. He must know what he wants if he's making himself that loud. It can at least give a false perception from the outside world of give me respect, desirability. He is strong. He's capable. This one is confidence. Even though that bravado is really just a mask. It's a shell to try to keep you away from the fact that I can't show sadness, so I convert it into aggression. It's a mask, though. I can't show you vulnerability. I can't show you that soft side because if I do, you leave. And if I share my feelings, nobody cares. No one's listening. So being badass and I got this and it doesn't matter was the only option. All right. So with that being said, how does a man hurt? A man's not going to show you his fears, not that way. But the fear that a man really has is going to be fear of feelings, fear of showing sadness, weakness, vulnerability, or being sensitive because we get rejected. I've even seen guys go that route. I've had so many conversations with guys who go, I'm going to just open up to my girl. But when they do, women will have that natural self-preservation, safety, security, reassurance is still in there. And so as soon as they see her guy is not capable or not a protector or not safe or you can't provide, these guys end up sleeping in separate bedrooms. These guys end up no longer being desired by their mate. These guys end up being closed out and ice queened. And they're like, I thought you said if I opened up, that would be more. But I opened up and now I'm rejected by my love. This happens so commonly. So now we have a terrifying fear of feelings. We can't show feelings. The more stoic we are, the more approved of we are. But the more feelings that we have, the more judged we are. So the only way that I can show hurt now is anger. But now in a relationship, anger is shamed. And there is a commonality I see with men and women when I jump in. Women will blame more, men will shame more. And so I have to immediately, when girls come in the group, go, hey, this isn't a man-hating group. This isn't about he's this, my husband's this, he's that, he needs to do this. It started off, and we've had groups do that where they come in like, finally, all the ladies are here. My husband is the worst husband. And we're like, hold on. That's not what this is. This is about your stuff, not how everybody else is bad because you said so. You're allocating too much power away from you. I had blame throwers in one of the programs, and I took it out of the men's side. because the men weren't blame throwing. The guys, it's extremely rare they come in and bitch about women. The most common thing that the guys would do is, what am I doing wrong here? How come I can't connect? How come I can't get her to see? How come I'm never doing anything enough? What am I doing wrong? And that's the most common question that guys would come in with. What am I doing wrong? How come I can't make her happy anymore? What am I missing here? And they would be so hard on themselves. So I started realizing that men are shaming so much more because they're afraid to show feeling. They're just trying to do anything to make it better. But the connection is completely severed. They had to close that part off for protection, and women aren't even interested in their feelings. So we're highly suppressed. We're volcanoes at all given times. Throw in now society says guys have to be tough and do it alone. Cowboy up, be a man. You don't need nobody. Figure it out. Real men do it on their own. It's not true. It's not true. And there's not a lot of healthy places for guys to be able to go. And so we're constantly put down and constantly feeling like we don't matter. But isolation is one of the highest pieces for suicide. And men's suicide is 5 times higher than women's suicide. Not saying like, what's better, what's worse. It's just alarming, because if it was the other way, it'd be pretty alarming. Like, it's an alarming number. And so what's one of the biggest things is isolation, being completely alone and not feeling like you belong or have any purpose or place in this world. And guys who are completely isolated without empathy are really going to be shaming themselves to pieces. And once it's that deep and there is no reason to live because nobody appreciates, cares, or loves you, the way out seems pretty logical. And so we've created that safe, place. And I don't say it as like a weak thing. I say it as like, there's a place you can hang your armor up and go, dang guys, what a tough day, and not worry about getting stabbed in the back. You got to be able to have your guys, just like the women should have their girls. You got to have a place where you can take all the stuff you sort and then bring it to your girl or your guy afterwards and go, hey, I already sorted through a lot of it. And my perspective was pretty selfish at the time, but my people gave me a couple points of views, and now I'm a little more curious to see where you're coming from versus creating an accusation or making up your intention. And so there's a lot of emasculation that's happened there to make it so that guys just shut it down, though. I can't share with you. I can't share with you. If I do, you're going to judge me. And this would be where a question that my stepdaughter brought this up, and we actually talked through it, and she had a really clever answer where this may be triggering for some, but really challenge it and think about it. Women can't handle the truth from their guy very well. Because if a guy says, like, my heart hurts in this place and I don't feel very loved, immediately it goes to self-preservation and go, oh, if you don't feel loved, well, I better get ready for you to leave, because if I better make sure I'm okay. And, I better make sure that if you're not feeling it, then I better get ready for whatever then. And you're like, no, did you notice that your guy just said his heart's broken and he doesn't feel loved? And you turned it into you. You said, what about me? I need to take care of me. What about myself? Instead of going, damn, I hurt my guy. We're not having empathy. And so if I was to say anything for the ladies, what's the highest level of being able to remove emasculation and resentment is not to go in with judgment and condemnation, but to go in with an open mind for understanding or thinking or empathy. So there's a Carl Jung quote where he says that thinking is hard, so that's why people judge. Well, I would add more to it. I would say that thinking and empathy are hard, and that's why people judge instead. But if you take a second and go, my person's hurt, instead of judging and going, oh shit, I better protect myself, like, whoa, my person's in pain. What's going on, hon? That's very different than going, oh, you're going to leave? Watch what I do.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Warrior, thank you so much for being a part of the information that we have. And you're part of our story as we are a part of yours. It's very much an honor to be able to connect with each other. If you want to know more or you want to get started with working with me or working with our warriors so that you can begin your path to authenticity, strength, leadership, and accountability, this is the way. Together, we are way stronger. Now you get to choose. Do you go forward or keep doing what you've always done? If you stay where you're at, hey, click on some of the stuff and follow what it is. We got motivational stuff. We've got podcasts. We've got more things. Just subscribe and do the stuff, and we'll keep you updated. But if you want to start going in, start jumping into what our programs offer and start your journey and being the hero in your own story.
it's so interesting because I see such a polarity that women are like, I want a man. But then at the same time, they're like, well, I only have myself. And I'm like, well, then why are you know what I mean? Like, like there's this weird, like, at the same time, women are like not really being truthful because they're like, okay, well, I definitely, I want to feel loved by a man if they're in, that type of relationship. But at the same time, exactly like you mentioned, the second there's friction, they're like, oh, well, I got to take care of me. And so it's like, well, why is there, this, because if you want to feel loved, then you have to be willing to love and have, like the empathy and the no judgment in return, just as you would want to have. But yet at the same time, it's not reciprocated in that way from the woman's perspective. And, I will be the first to admit that, and I did mention this on my podcast with my husband, but like I was I contributed so much to my husband's emasculation. And that's still something I'm working through and catching and being like, okay, what other remnants of my past behavior have been ingrained in our communication that I need to, revisit and correct and so on and so forth. So let's say, a woman is wanting to understand her husband who maybe she has emasculated him, or maybe he's felt emasculated and hurt and alone. What suggestions would you give her to how should she support him when she is feeling because I think one thing from a woman's side is it feels incredibly terrifying to open up that space with their partner and be like, oh, to not judge, to not, put expectations on or whatever. It can be very like, well, where am I going to get my support from, right? Because women already don't feel supported. So how should a woman move in this direction of supporting a man in her life when she herself doesn't feel supported and feel like the reason she's in the state she's in is because she's not receiving the support from her man? So how do you, because I feel like we're kind of at a catch-22. It's like the man is hurting, the woman is also hurting. So how do they both discover balance in this area?
Yeah, it's a tough question. Again, there's so many pieces to this. How do you accept a person as a person instead of what it is that you receive? There is a reciprocity that's in relationships. There is a thing that we both get from each other. But this is why, like, I really appreciated when you were on the battlefield of the mind, when you were like, this is what we bring to the relationship. This is our part. Well, if women think they're supposed to do a guy's part, how useless do they look at their guy? Because a guy's like, well, I bring in money and I do the hard work and I do this stuff as well. I bring in money too, and I do work too. You're like, okay, I took care of the stuff you didn't want to do there. Well, I did the stuff you didn't want to do here. So what good are you? You're like, it's like this like pissing contest at home, and there is no joy. There is no fun. There is no kindness. There is no nurture, and there's no appreciation. And when I get into like the 3 needs for a guy, we're actually kind of simple creatures that if you add in your wounds on top of what this guy is, you start taking away the basic needs. I did a video on this and I haven't had any pushback from the men so far. What are the 3 basic needs for guys? Hungry, horny, appreciation. Those are our 3 needs. 2 of them are pretty damn simple to do too. Those ones aren't even that complicated. But the big one is appreciation. The big one is respect, honor. How do we appreciate each other here? And guys do like appreciation different than women. And so if they want to support their guy or they want a man to feel supported, you can't be doing all his stuff for him and saying, I don't need you, and then expect him to feel valued and appreciated when he's like, well, I did that thing that you didn't want. Well, I did a thing you didn't want, so I don't care about your thing. It's like, where's the appreciation? Where is that part? And so if you got a guy who's, well fed, he's not going to be as hangry, so he's going to be easier to talk to. If you got a guy who's not sexually frustrated, he's going to be easier to talk to. And if you have a guy who's highly appreciated, he's going to be more likely to do more for you than somebody who just tears him down all day and tells him how nothing he ever does matters. And this is pretty basic stuff. I'm not even getting into like deep psychology here. This is just, guys are pretty simple. How much did you cheer them on? Why do you think there's cheerleaders for a football team? And why don't the cheerleaders suit up and go and get touchdowns? Well, that's what a lot of women are doing. They're going, go, fight, win. Now give me a helmet and I'm going to throw the ball. And the guy's like, well, what are you doing? Well, we can play football too. We'll go play on the girls' team. What are you doing? You're a cheerleader here today. I want a cheerleader. I don't need you to compete for my position. where do we value each other? Where do we support each other? Where do we encourage each other? If you're like, give it to me, I'll just do it. Well, that's emasculating. This is where it's like, well, where am I supposed to do my job then? If you're just going to do your job, my job, the kids' jobs, aunt's jobs, grandma's job, you're doing everybody's job, and then going, what do I have all of you for? And then once you take everybody's jobs away from them because you think you can do it better, and then you can't handle the weight of it all, and you start falling apart and going, nobody helps me with anything. And we're all going, you trained us by taking everything from us and saying that you can do it better. So are you mad at us or are you mad at you? Remember, blame. This gets into the excuses. This gets into anger. I'm mad. It's not cool. I'm my unmet needs. Nobody cares about my stuff. I'm taking on roles that are not my role. And it's pissing me off that you're not doing anything. You're lazy. You're judged. And the guy's like, I was happy to do it. You just told me you didn't want me to.
Yeah, it is so hard because from a woman's perspective, she's trying to take it all because society has told her that that's what she needs in order to be something, right? I mean, and we talked about this, when I was on your podcast of like this whole, a woman's worth and value comes from her ability to do. And that's inherently what I feel like feminism has single-handedly told, like, oh, we don't need a man, right? But at the same time, there's this like biological aspect that we keep being like, well, I need a man, but I want love from him and like nothing else. And so it's like, well, that feels pretty one-sided to look at a man in that perspective. And I think it's a call out for women to kind of self-reflect and be like, what is it that I truly maybe selfishly wanted from my relationship when I first started dating this guy? And also, what has it come into now? Because, it's like, it's natural to evolve. And we talked about that on your podcast. But I think it's, it's so hard for, and I love that we're having this conversation, but it's so hard for the women to be like, oh, shoot, yeah, I maybe did selfishly just want this like one or two things from my guy. And now I'm in this relationship. And so I feel like, again, it's a call out to women to be like, okay, well, we have this opportunity, which is why, I wanted you on the podcast to understand the man in your life, because I do believe deep down inside, we want more. We're just not acknowledging that we do want an incredible, amazing, healthy relationship with a man and that it can be born. You can absolutely cultivate a really incredible, amazing, healthy relationship with a man. It's just, are you willing to see the other side? And I hope that the women today are being open and don't feel too much like, actually, I saw a really funny TikTok the other day where it was a comedian and he was engaging with the crowd and he was asking the women what the red flags were on the date. And this one woman said that the red flag was the guy that she was having this date with was into like he was a men's activist. And immediately she was like, we're done. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to and immediately the comedian was like, well, hold on a minute though, because statistically speaking, men don't live as long because they're doing harder positions, harder jobs, all the dirty stuff that like women just inherently don't really want to do. So how come you're going to cut this guy down for for literally stating the truth? And she was like, well, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with it because he just immediately said he was a men's activist. So it's like, how would you encourage women to open themselves up to, like seeing this other side of what I call is like, the whole word, the patriarchy just like kind of kills me because I'm like, of course, there are men who are doing evil things. And yes, that's not a good thing. But there's so many men, it's almost like for us women, we can't even see the men that do want to rectify the situation and actually want a healthy relationship because we've just lumped them all into this like men are evil, patriarchy, blah, 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 blah. So how would you encourage a woman to see the healthy men in their life? Because it's like the blinders are on. Women don't want to see it. They don't. But yet at the same time, they need it.
One thing I like about when you listen to people do that, like, nope, swipe, nope. You're
right.
Patriarchy, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a blah, blah, blah. They're going to start tearing somebody down. Remember, count the judgments. When you see somebody being highly judgmental, it's really revealing just how insecure or how, unstable or how inadequate they feel or how little acceptance they have in their life because they're immediately going bad without any information. Remember, like thinking and empathy are hard. That's why people judge instead. And so judgments, if you're looking in patriarchy, you're evil, you're a bad man. It's like, did you ask any questions or did you immediately jump into your terrors or your fears? And this got into like, can women handle the truth? Well, she didn't want to hear anything about like, how did you get into that? Well, what is it? Why do you feel that way? Immediately just heard one word and said, you're done. And that's an interesting thing. Like there is no inquisitiveness. There is nothing. And there is a perspective. I'm going to do a really fun exercise that I did with my men and my women. I said, let's make a joke. I did the Prince Charming Challenge. This was a joke that I did that I actually did have my women and my men survey. Please tell me your answers for what you want. So I made a joke for the ladies. I'm like, all right, here's my Prince Charming. Here's my list, okay? The list looks like this. He's a protector, a provider. He's patient, calm, sensitive, badass. He's strong, but confident, and he's handy and can fix things, but also a very good listener. But I want him smart, loving, funny. He has to be a family man, very loyal, generous. He's a leader. He has ambitious dreams, but he's also wealthy. He takes care of me, has a college degree, has a high status. He's got some power to him. He's crazy sexy, but doesn't like attention. He loves my kids, pays for everything, loves all my feelings and interests. He has massive dreams and goals. He speaks well and is articulate. He has great style and looks good. He reads interesting books like the ones that I like. He never gets mad, has perfect teeth, thus he smiles all the time. He loves the same songs and movies I like. He does all the heavy lifting with happy smile on his face, loves all my friends, loves all my family, never leaves the toilet seat up, will drop everything for me at the drop of a hat. He only wants sex when I do. He's a fantastic chef and does all the cooking. Never needs praise or recognition. He knows how to fix everything. He's the best dancer, and of course, he's so humble. He's so humble. I'm like, this was my Prince Charming list, and the ladies listed the list, and they were like, this is crazy with a capital K. This is a wild list. This is insane. I'm like, ladies, this is my joke Prince Charming list. Make your list, and please tell me the list that you would want for your man, and please help me clear this list up. Can I just tell you? The ladies' list was longer. It was longer than my Prince Charming list. Even in the middle of that, I could feel you going, okay, this is a ridiculous list. Like, this is a long list of things for a human to do. And this got into the stuff where, like, be patient because I'm not patient, so I need a balancer. And he needs to be, like, there's terms like this, like, I need him to be smart. Intelligence is huge for me. I need to be able to have healthy debates and conversations. If I feel mentally dominant, I'm turned way off. And I said, wait a second. This would mean no matter how much you grow, he has to grow faster and be smarter or else you'll be turned off. So his growth has to always be faster than your growth or else he's not attractive anymore. That's a really tough piece to throw into a relationship. Also, he has to be funny or he has to be, there's a lot more to it. Let me just say the women's list is substantially longer. It's probably about like 20 things longer for the men. And so it got pretty tough to be able to go like, this is a long list, ladies. I'm going to put it out there too. I threw the 666 thing on there. Have you ever heard that before? 6 foot tall, 6 figures, 6 pack. You know, it even gets into more than 6 inches. I mean, there's all these things out there that's like it's the stereotypical, this is the badass dude that you want thing, which is obviously backfiring, which it's supposed to. It's so superficial. It's supposed to backfire because all these guys who do match that criteria now have a million options they didn't before. And they're wondering why these guys are having commitment issues. Well, they just get free samples all day. Why would they buy anything? So of course that's backfiring. Any case, I was like, okay, ladies, how about this? Your list is like 80 things here. I'm going to give you everything on this list. I'm also going to throw in that he's a kung fu ninja, so he can protect you against anybody. And he has a huge penis. I'm going to give you everything that you want on this list, plus I'm throwing some bonuses for you. You good? And the ladies are like, yeah, we're good. We like it. And I'm like, he's 5'3". And even though he has 80 things and everything that you ever wanted is good, everything, it's a ridiculous list, longer than my list. Prince Charming, amazing guy, perfect in every way. He's just shorter than you are. And more than half of the girls are like, I can't do it. Can't do it. He's too short. Can't do it. And I was like, he's perfect. Everything you want. Health, wealth, love, happiness, everything he does is wonderful. he's everything you ever wanted. He's just shorter than you. And they say, nope, deal breaker. And I said, what do you think that you bring to a man who's this perfect's life to make it so you would reject him? Because this guy does everything. He's amazing in every category. What are you bringing value-wise to say, I reject you because of something he can't control? It's like an interesting perspective here that you think for some reason you're the one who's doing the job interview when you don't actually know what you bring as a value to this man's life besides love me for who I am. Like, interesting perspective here. Here's the men's list. It's only like 10 things. It's way shorter. The men's list, first off, you ever heard of the hot crazy scale? There's an ongoing joke thing where it's like,
I have heard that, yeah.
Hotness corresponds to the crazy level. So the higher the hot, the higher the crazy. So it's like, there's a correspondence here. They're like, okay, when it comes to beauty, they're like at least above average. Just try and take care of yourself. Six and up. It doesn't, just at least put effort in, try to like take care of your body, eat well. Like it doesn't, you don't have to be a fitness model or anything. Just put some effort, take care of yourself. Just like I'll take care of myself, take care of yourself. You should do self-care. So be at least above average. Take care of yourself. So that was pretty low. That was there. You would think it'd be like Victoria's Secret model. I was like, nope, we're not looking for that. Just take care of yourself. Just at least put some effort into it. Brush your hair today. Something, just something. Just try. The other part is they said, and this was the thing, at least 8 or under crazy. And I'm like, 8's a pretty high number, guys. They're like, we're setting the bar as low as we can here. Like at least just don't be a 9, 10. Don't be Carrie Underwooding my car. Like, just keep it cool. Like, let's just keep the crazy low. Like, but 8 is a high number. Even half and down would be nice. But they're like, we understand it's going to be in there. At least just keep it under insanity. Okay. That's the most subjective part on the answer. The rest of them were loyal and trustworthy, kind, appreciative, encouraging and supportive, respectful, caring, shows effort, has enthusiasm, even sexually, intimacy, has a willingness to grow together, can be reliable, listens to understand and doesn't interrupt and make it all about you, constantly just take accountability for your part. I take accountability for my part. Don't be cruel and judgmental. And then the big caveat one that they threw in was like, please don't bring up anything that's past 2 weeks after it's been resolved. So don't bring up an argument from 6 months ago, and don't bring up an argument from last year, and don't bring up that thing that happened when we first started dating. Like, we've already gone past that. That's the whole list. Was there anything on that list where you're like, these men are chauvinistic bastards? Monstrous.
No, I think it's really eye-opening and so true that women have been conditioned so much more in this like one-sidedness. And it really just is like, I do a lot of, in my feminine energy work, I'm always like curious and trying to learn more about like historically speaking, where women come from and where, just to understand the generational things that might have been passed on, right? And it's just so interesting to see how women have really like gone and so heavy-sided into this whole like, if men didn't exist, the world would be great. Except there would still be things that they wouldn't want to do that they would then still be wanting men to do for them. So it's like, where is the transparency, right? When where they'll be, can't even talk, when will there be a time where women are going to be like, okay, yeah, we need to tone it down. Like, we need to maybe actually have some sort of like heart and, like you were saying, empathy to be able to, because even when you were reading off that Prince Charming list, I was actually like, my husband does actually meet almost all of those, which I'm very blessed for. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like, that's a major compliment for my husband. But it's like, the whole height thing it goes to show the superficial aspect of what women don't even realize subconsciously, that they've bought hook, line, and sinker into this, like, oh, we can't even see a man for who he truly is because we've been so superficially led on to that we can only pay attention to like these, 2 things or the 666, And so it's really just so damaging to men and, especially for the guys that are not over 6 foot, because they're over here like, oh, is anybody going to see me? Like, hello. And speaks to that loneliness aspect of like, oh, I can't even be seen. What you were mentioning in the beginning of the podcast is like, I can't even be seen for who I truly am because I'm being judged all day, every day for all the exterior things that aren't even really like ultimately what women are truly looking for. So it's like there's this to me, it's irritating that women, and I'll speak for myself because I was in the same boat prior to all my feminine energy work, but it's just so irritating to have the predominant amount of women be in this space where they're like, nope, 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 let's just write all the men off, especially the ones that are under 6 foot, because they don't visually have what I need, except they do, but you're just not willing to like be open to even see that. Oh my gosh. Like, it's like, I mean, this is why you and I are in the work that we're in, because it's like, I'm over here like, okay, women, like, let's do a better job, open ourselves up. And you're on the other side, like, okay, what can we do to help a man not feel as alone and to not get to that point where he is going to consider suicide? Because I think that I want to talk more about that, because I don't think women actually realize the extent of the, like, how intense the feeling is when they have felt from, like you said, the time that they were a teenager, they became aware of this, that they were just no longer going to be sufficient. I mean, that's how many years? If a man is like 40 something, then he's been living, what is that? Like 25 years feeling inadequate. So talk about that more, because I just think that women are not aware and we need to make them aware of this.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into certain extremes, but I mean, even on a regular basis, but I mean, like, there's a lot more stuff that you see we do with veterans. So I'm not going to go just only into veterans, because regular guys fall into this very much so too. You just have tough upbringing, poverty. There's a lot of things that get played in their hands here, but especially working with guys who have a lot of like really extreme trauma stuff, you know, and this is why I say grew up in Sparta, because you can just grow up in the hood and still have the same PTSD a guy who went to war. Like, it's still just as crazy. There's wild times just even in your backyard. And so we've had some pretty tough moments, and these guys, there's nobody really cares about their feelings. And this is a really tough thing, because it means we have to be not human. Like, take that in just for a second. It's like your guy, like, remember they say, like, I want my man to be the rock in our relationship. And you go like, well, what feelings do rocks have? Rocks don't have feelings, you know? And you're like, so you want him to be what? Statue? You want him to be some sort of a golem where he's just a rock monster? Like, that's what he's supposed to be for the family and the pillar that everybody can stand on? He's a human. There's a heart in there. There's a soul in there. There's a guy in there. There's a little guy in there who wants to make you proud of him. There's a little guy who's like, feel my muscle and look what I can do and be proud of me. He wants to impress you. There's a little guy in there. And you know what? You stop doing it. These guys, they don't care about your feelings. I don't care that your feelings are hurt. What are you going to do about it? What do you need? You want some food? Hungry, horny appreciation? You want a sandwich? Shut up. Like, it's like, damn it. Well, like, there's a guy in there who deserves to be loved just as much as you want to be loved, but are you doing your part? And this is where, like, I would say, like, there's a couple parts of, like, what's going on with these guys. They feel alone, they feel unloved, and they've put every resource they have into trying to make it so you have what they would run into. I'm going to call it out. Country music's my South people are getting their asses kicked. The girls listen to country music. I have nothing against it, but look at what's going on. The guy side music is like, put her first, be there for her, love her always. And then if things aren't going right for the guy's side, I'm at the bar. There's a bottle involved in every single song. There's either beer or whiskey. There's going to be some drink that's involved, which means you put everything into your girl, and when that falls through, you get drunk. That's how you deal with stuff. My down south guys are struggling. Well, what's the women's music down there? Be free. Go do you. Hot girl summer. Like, we don't need a man. Like, just go dance by yourself. Like, it's all this stuff to say you don't be with a guy, and the guys like give everything to her. They're getting their asses kicked. These guys, good guys, not even bad guys, good guys are like, I gave her everything I had and she just took it all, and now she's sleeping with this dude. What the heck? Hot girl summered me. What does that mean? Like, what is that? And it's like, now where's this guy's worth come from? Where's his value? Where's his heart? Where's his feelings? Like, who cares? He's a boy. Like, no, you got a broken heart. Well, who's talking to this guy about his broken heart when all the guys there have to man up, cowboy up, don't be a bitch, don't cry, move on, next person. There's so much denial involved in what people are doing that they're not actually addressing reality, and nobody can actually go through a grieving cycle because they don't know what it is. If only I could have done it better. If only I would have said this. If only I was if I had more money, you go CeeLo Green. You're driving around town with the girl I love. Fuck you. If I had more money in my pocket, maybe I wouldn't be alone. This kind of stuff like this, where it's like, what's my value? What's my worth based on? Because it's not my heart. It's going to be what? My bank account, my height, my six pack, my biceps. Where's it come from? Where's my value? Because it's not here. And that's really tough on these guys. And so put everything you got into a woman just to be not good enough, and you have no support system that you can rely on. You have good friends, but what are they all doing? Listen to the same country music you are, so they're getting fucked up tonight. Guess I'm going to take this broken heart and just turn it all the way up into just broken and drunk and numb the pain. I'm going to distract myself from the reality of my broken heart. And then what choices do they make?
And I feel like I see things coming up in my mind, and I'm like, I feel like this explains why women get so frustrated when their men are like, well, I just need to prioritize my sports, or I need to prioritize my hobbies, or, I need to prioritize like fishing and golfing and all these things, because those are all things that give them peace. Value.
Burden of performance, yeah.
Right. So it's like women inherently are, by not being able to have empathy and to restructure how they're viewing themselves and the relationship and the man in their life, are pushing forward like these things. And so another thought that came to mind is like, how much of this, from a parenting perspective also affects the growing up phase, right? And how this generational aspect of women being like, don't need a man, whatever, are perpetuating even from their son, like parenting their sons. And it's like, it really had me thinking the other day, because I was, from reflecting from our conversation that we had last week. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like the bombs were going off in my mind of like, whoa, this is so, the domino effect is real with this one, because it's like, if I can't value the adult male in my life, then what makes me think that I can value my kid, my son? And how is that going to affect or perpetuate their emasculation when they get older, because I haven't been able to demonstrate that I can be there for them and place a value on their humanness and not on what they are able to forgive and provide and blah, 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 right? And there already is enough pressure from parents as it is to be like, okay, well, you need to make sure that you make enough money, or, oh, you need to make sure that you get a good job, and, oh, you need to make sure, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we're basically training our children from the time that they're, reach a conscious state, like past the age of 7, is like, okay, well, what are you going to do with your life? Well, how about just be you? Like, how come we, why do we even need to have this conversation, and instead focus it on, okay, well, yeah, let's actually just try and be there for that human. What do they emotionally need? Especially as it's, from like, I feel like 7 to the time they're 18 and leave the house. It's like what else do they need emotionally? And so from your perspective, how can, say a mom or even a dad who's feeling emasculated, how can he try and for women to, how do you suggest that women open up and show up for boys?
Let's answer a harder question. This creates daddy issues. And there's a lot of guys, don't get me wrong, culturally too, there's situations where moms are kicking dads out of the house.
Yeah.
Like there's no dad in the home.
Right.
I have a lot of good guys who want to be good dads who are highly limited to see their kids.
Yeah.
Court system destroys dads.
100%.
So like there's good guys, they're bad dudes. Listen, I'm not all men are wonderful advocate, because there's a lot of men that wouldn't make it in the Warriors way because we're way too accountable. And so would call your shit out. So there are bad guys out there. There are guys that wouldn't make it with the men. So there's a difference here. There's a difference from boys and men. The men would be like, we're going to have to hold you accountable to your own shit. And they're like, fuck that. I'm out of here. Fuck you guys. Like, they wouldn't like us. But what do you do when like there's good men who deserve respect and they don't get any? And how does that affect your sons and daughters? What does it look like when you say like, hey, if you're going to be in a relationship, you should be respectful to your partner. But I've never seen mom respect a man. What does it mean to respect a man? What does that look like? What does it look like for mom and dad when mom's like, I'll just do everything, and dad's like, I want to help. And then when he goes to help, they're like, I'm just going to go do it for mom because she'll just do it. I was like, well, I'll tell you, as a step parent too, you want to go to the hardest job? All step parents. Step parents, like, you sign up voluntarily to take on somebody else's child. This is a volunteer gig. You are not obligated. I choose not only you, but I choose the children too. And you take on all responsibilities of a parent, but you do not get any of the recognition or love for it. You got like a decade to pump in there, and you have to do a really good job before you're actually considered valued. That's already an uphill value or uphill battle. Cause like I got 3 teenage girls. I'm a stepdad. Let me just tell you, I'm in the phase where if there's a recognition for appreciation, this isn't it. Maybe in 10 years, they'll go, wow, you really were there for us. But right now, mom takes care of so much that even if I were to take care of it, it's not valued and appreciated. It's a volunteer gig. I volunteer that type of heartbreak. And I'm just going to put out there, it's heartbreaking for step parents, moms and dads, stepmoms, stepdads. It's heartbreaking when you put everything into somebody who's not yours so they can have a damn chance in life and you're treated terribly for it. And I know step parents in here who can relate. So how do you respect a man? How do you respect a good guy when you just do everything and teach the kids you don't have to?
That is so powerful.
And so here we are, sons trying to figure out what kind of man am I supposed to be when I watch my dad told he can't do shit and he's lazy and he's a bum and treated like shit. He's going to end up finding a girl who does what mom does and subconsciously end up starting to become his father because she just tears him to pieces. He's like, I can't do anything right anyway, so I'll just sit here and take it, you know? And then what kind of daughters, what kind of guys are they going to be looking for when like mom's always been so damn hard on dad? I don't need you. I don't need shit from you. You don't do shit anyways. What kind of man is she going to be looking for? She's going to date what she knows. And is she going to be you, or is she going to be like dad because she couldn't relate to how mean you were? And she's going to find a guy who treats her the way that you treated dad. There's going to be issues that start coming in their dynamics. So what kind of world does your son and daughter live in if we emasculate and tear men down for just being? What kind of world do we live in?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, talk about generational trauma and generational, we're like over here trying to break generational curses from our own parents and not realizing that we're single-handedly continuing to pass it on because we're not focusing enough on ourselves. And so, yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, it's like so much to take in. I'm over here like, whew, that's like, a big conversation. And I hope that everyone who's listening is triggered. And I love triggers. And we talked about this last week as well, is like, it's so good to be triggered. And because it's going to tell you exactly where you need to focus on. So let's go back to, the men's side of things. And let's talk about specifics, like because I know you talked a little bit about this last week, and I want to expand on this for my listeners, is like when a man is angry, let's expand more on that, because I know the way you explained it last week was so great. And I want you to kind of do that again like here for this podcast is, what is a man really feeling when he is experiencing anger? Or what is a man really feeling when he's quiet? Or what is, because I think for a lot of women, they just don't know how to read. Like they don't know when in reality, there's a whole slew of emotions that are being felt. But women are just like, okay, well, from the outside, this is what I can see, but that's not actually what the man is. So in essence, what I'm asking you is to kind of be a little bit of a translator, because yes. I think for women to be able to tap into making the change, having this translation is going to be really eye-opening for them.
Yeah. So we're going to jump back in from the part where suppression leads to expression. And so guys will suppress all of their negative feelings. So push them all down because we're not getting empathy. So we got to push them down anyway. So we're already in denial as it is. We're already pushing it down. It's going to eventually volcano. We can't go sadness. We already talked about that. Anger at least gives us some form of confidence, or at least some form of positive response. Okay, so we've got this down. That's not the new part. If this is the case, that sadness still has to go somewhere. It still has to go somewhere. And so if we have a repressed, closed off heart, because that's where the vulnerability, the weakness, and the sadness sits, well, that stuff still goes somewhere. So what I was personally doing, and a lot of my guys do, is they convert sadness into anger. We convert it. All sadness goes into anger. Well, sadness is on the heart side. And since I closed that off and I can't be weak means I'm unworthy of love. And that means I have to block being sad. That's why they're being the bad boy, so I can get the good girl. Like sadness is rejection by everybody, men too, men and women. Sadness is rejection. You're not going to get loved by dudes if you're a crybaby. The guy's like, dude, quit fucking being a bitch. Like it's not received well by anybody. So anger is our only option. And then in a relationship, it's shamed again. Well, let me just tell you, the maddest I've ever been has been in my saddest moments. Anger is how I cry. And most guys, anger is how we cry. We can't cry because we're rejected, but at least anger gives us at least some sort of separation to say, back off. But it's how we cry. You're watching, the madder your dude is most likely the sadder your dude is. Like, that's the reality to it. And if you measure it by how angry your guy has gotten from him suppressing so much down and then bursting out, you're not looking at a guy who's a fucking psycho. You're looking at a dude who's got a broken heart. And if you change your perspective that this guy's not crazy with judgment and go, damn, this dude's hurting that bad, that's his outburst. And it looks more like temper tantrum, but really it's a expression of just repressed sadness. But you don't care. You don't care about his broken heart. You're just going to go, if you're this crazy, I need to protect myself. Where is he ever going to feel value? Where is he ever going to feel like anybody's going to care about anything? Because the world can at least respect anger, but your relationship doesn't. But what emotion are you allowed to have then? It's not sadness. You can't be overly ridiculous and silly. You can't be way too happy because that's not sexy. I'm crazy and funny. Like, that's already too much. Even that impression probably made somebody go, ugh. And that's just an impression of a guy being overly playful. You know what I mean? So where's our middle line? We have to be strong, heroic, stoic. All situations are handleable. I don't even flinch. Like, what robots are we supposed to be? The only emotion that we have is anger, and even that is shamed, but it's really not anger. It's usually sadness. And so when you're watching a dude who's really struggling and he's frustrated and he's pissed off, your dude's like, go in, like, hey, baby, what's going on? But I swear to God, ladies, don't do this. Don't do this if you can't handle that he's not okay.
I was just going to say, I'm like, because I could see a lot of women being like, oh, I want to ask, but you've got to be prepared for the other side and truly be willing to actually hear and to listen without judgment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because if he says, I feel unloved, I feel like nobody cares about me today. And you go, oh, that's how you feel? You don't appreciate anything that I do? You think I don't love you? You think the kids are okay? You want me to do? Tell the kids to love you then? Fine. You know what? You go ahead and feel how you want because you think nothing I do matters and nothing's important. And fine, it's all about you. And all he says, I don't feel like anybody loves me. Like, you can't listen to the guy. You can't accept the truth that this guy feels unloved. You didn't even address it. You didn't even acknowledge it. It immediately went into condemnation, judgment, and some sort of self-preservation. Slow down. That's a human being. It's a guy with a heart. And if you treat him like a robot and say, you must be defective because you're feeling things I don't like, what do you expect your relationship to be then, other than what do you provide for me? So no wonder he wants to go fishing. No wonder he wants to go work on the car. No wonder he drinks after dinner and sits in the garage by himself. No wonder.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like a lot in this instance too, I want to go back to the quiet aspect here in a second, but even from like a kid's perspective, it's like, the kids are suffering because dad is suffering, right? Like, the kids don't get dad's attention because dad ultimately just like is like, well, the sadness and the rejection is so intense that he can't even be there for the children, even in like playful things, because he's like, well, I might get called out, or, something's going to be wrong, or I did it wrong, or whatever. And so the poor children suffer and don't get to have a relationship with their dad because dad's over here like barely surviving because he's so sad and he's so rejected that he's forced to be alone.
It's tough too. And think about too, how many guys who are good guys who you just watch a lady who's not, she's wounded in her own thing, just tear him down. Let's say he's playing with the kids and he's being the monster and he's chasing them. Run! Going to get you, and the kids are laughing and playing and going to get you. And they're like, you're so annoying.
Right.
Like, the kid's laughing. I'm having fun. We're having fun. We're bonding. We're doing rough and tumble. We're having a good time and we're laughing together. And
we're like,
bonding.
oh, it's not safe.
Yeah. Or, oh, you're playing too rough with them. And like the kids laugh. We're laughing and we're having fun. And rough and tumble play is very, very healthy for development. And so like dads have a place there. We aren't a mistake the way that we love. Let me just leave that on the table for a minute. We're not a mistake for the way that we love, especially our children. Now, if you got a wounded and hurt guy who does wounded and hurt things, he's got to work on his shit. But if you got a good guy who's just playing with the kids and you just don't like how he plays, my uncle calls it building universal soldiers. This is the kind of family we grew up in. If we were in the car and my sister are in the back and we're laughing our asses off and we're playing with each other and screaming, it's just having a good time. Shut the fuck up. You're too loud. Like, oh man, so being happy is bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. Okay. If I'm back there just crying, I think almost everybody I've talked to has heard this banana sentence. Stop crying or I'll give you a reason to cry. What the fuck is that, by the way? Like, it's mostly like saying I really don't understand why you're crying, so if I hit you, at least then I'll understand. Like,
Right.
what? The what?
Yeah, there's so much lack of empathy and lack of ability to be willing to see and hear and feel emotion from someone else, right? Ultimately, that's what it boils down to.
Completely blocked out. So sadness, bad. Sit back there and you're angry, though. Just angry, just stewing in your anger. Well, I'm angry too. So that's fine.
Okay, so let's talk about the quietness. Like, say a man is just really getting to the point where he is not really willing to converse with anyone or a woman specifically. What does that mean?
Let's do it. Ladies want men to be a safe place. I want to be safe. Not just physically safe, not just financially safe, not just emotionally. I want to be able to share my feelings. I want to vent to you. Just for the record, guys aren't built for venting, just so ladies know. We're fixers. So when you stack your problems on us, we're like, well, you want me to fix that? You want me to fix that? Like, it's too cold in here and I hate this thing. And the dog has hair on the floor. It's like, well, I can vacuum and fix the thermometer. Like, I didn't ask you to fix anything. It's like, but that's what I do. Like, so venting is already hard for us, just so you know. So when it comes to being a safe place for ladies, guys are supposed to be able to take on all of your stuff, vent about Cheryl at work and how they changed the policy and someone didn't wear the uniform, and you just vent your day out. And we're supposed to just be like kind eyes and open heart about, wow, hon, what a difficult day. That must be hard for you. And fix nothing. We're supposed to just be, you can tell us everything and anything, and your emotions and your feelings are important to us. You are safe with me and you can share with me, and I am here for you. And ladies are like, well, I mean, that sounds pretty nice to me, right? Sounds pretty good. Well, what is that for him? What is that thing for him? How is he supposed to share with you without judgment? How can he go like, I'm having such a hard time right now with my hours. I'm working 100 hours. I'm so tired. I feel like I'm failing as a father. We haven't had a date night in 6 months. I don't know who I am anymore. And I'm hurting so deep inside of here. I have nobody I can share that with who can relate. And how can he share this without you going into, well, I better prepare myself to take on another job or start doing other things or prepare myself for you to not be okay so that if you end up falling apart, I can at least take care of everything. It goes into self-preservation, safety, security, the reassurance part. It makes sense, but you are not safe for him. You are not a safe place for your guy to share. You are not the thing. Where would resentment start to come in where your feelings and emotions are important and valuable and supposed to be listened to? But if he shares with you, it's ridiculed and shamed and guilted and judged. Where is he supposed to feel like I can share without some sort of retribution? Where is he supposed to do that? Guys, neither, guys. This is the reality to it, is you can't do it with your ladies. And I haven't seen it done effectively except for maybe a very, very small percentage of women. And I'm talking low single digits that can really see their man's heart and say, I love you because of this thing. Go through it, baby. I'm here with you. You hate your job. Like, we've seen shit tests. Have you ever seen the shit test where the guy is like, there was one, this is a funny one, where the girl sends the guy a text message saying like, hey, I just got a job for $75K a year. Yay, finally, all the schooling that I've been doing that you paid for my schooling and you did all the stuff. Finally, I got a job for $75K. And he's like, oh my God, this couldn't have come sooner. I've been working so hard these last 5 years to pay for your school and pay for your stuff and working all this time, I am emotionally worn out and I'm having like a breakdown. I need to take like at least a month, like just kind of like a small sabbatical from work. And I maybe will find a new job or something like that in that time. But I just need you to take care of the bills for maybe 1 or 2 months. And I can just reset and do my mental health and get myself recentered again and ready for the next push. And she was like, why would you need to do that? Like, well, because all the work I've been doing to pay for your school and pay for everything at the house, you don't work. So I've paid for everything for the last half a decade. I just need like a month where you take care of everything. And then like I can get my mental health back on track again. And then I have to find like a new job or something. Well, she's like, you make like 6 figures. Why would you need to do that? I don't understand why you need to do that. Like, well, babe, I'm killing myself for you to have what you have. And now you've got what you wanted. Just take care of me for 1 month. I did it for 5 years. She's like, that's not what I signed up for. No, I'm not doing that. I didn't sign up for a guy where I have to pay for things. He's like, well, what are you talking about? I just need 1 month. Let me get my mental health right. That's all I need. She's like, no. He's like, are you sure? Because if this is it, like, either you have to take care of me for the 1 month, or I don't think that we're going to be together. Would you leave me if you have to take care of me? And she's like, yeah, I would. I don't want to be with you if I have to take care of you like that. And he was like, okay, get your shit and get out. She was like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not quitting my job. I'm actually okay. I just wanted to see if you would actually take care of me if it was roles reversed. And she said, like, I would absolutely not. I would not take care of you. It's been 5 years of paying for everything for her. And if she had to do 1 month, she was like, no. There's a cognitive dissonance here. There is a big miss here for what does it look like for us to be able to really look out for each other or grow with each other. And so if you look at that aspect of things, I'm not saying this is all women, because there's women who are like, I'd take the fucking month. I got $75K a month. Let's go. I'll take it. You just took care of 5 years. It seems rational, but there is a thing societally that's like, there isn't any empathy and there isn't any consideration for a man. There just isn't. And this is where I would really say, women, if you really want to be a woman, start having a heart for your guy. Not what do you get from him, but how do we grow together? How do we appreciate each other for what's in here? This is a meat suit, and it's not about what you get. It's about how you connect. There's a spirit in here. There's a heart in here. And that's more valuable than a bank account. Like, there's more in there. And if you start looking at the dude as a guy, like as a human, there's still a little boy in there that wants to impress you. If you can see that, you can be proud of him, you can cheer him on, encourage that guy. Anything you want more of, encourage it. If he only swept 5 feet of the floor, instead of going, that's all you did, go like, did you sweep this 5 feet? He'll be like, I did sweep that 5 feet. Like, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful. 5 feet. You did this? I did that. You're the man. He's like, you like that? I love it. Watch what I could do 10 feet. Watch this. Like, what? You're the man. You're the man. That is awesome. I'd be like, you like that? Wait till you see what I do with the whole garage. Oh, you like that? Watch what I do with the bathroom. Check. Encourage what you want more of. But if you go like, that's all you did, they'll be like, well, what the fuck is the point of doing anything then?
Yeah, totally.
We still have a little guy in us who wants to impress you. And as soon as you stop being impressed because you're way too entitled to be able to give basic appreciation, what do you feel like you're bringing to the table, honestly? Because you're just tearing a good dude down. And then you have bad dudes running around because good guys are just treated like garbage. And they're like, what do we care? There's no accountability for like, how did you treat that dude? There's none. What a weird thing. We're in a weird time. This shift for it's not even equality. Just this like special treatment, weird shift that we're doing is really odd. And it is causing really so much more harm than good. It's supposed to be good, but the people are just doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just so eye-opening. And it's really like, I mean, even for me, and I mean, I mentioned this before we started recording, it's like, there's so much that I'm still working through from emasculating my husband, and I'm still seeing. It's like every day I learn something more that's like, oh, I really shouldn't have said that, or like, oh, I really should not have positioned it that way. And it's so ingrained in this, like, and it, because even as you're speaking, I'm reflecting and I'm like, at what point did I realize that a man was supposed to be a robot? Because I totally subconsciously believed that. Like, as you're saying things and I'm like, yep, that, yep. Like where, and what's unfortunate is that I honestly totally just inherently took on that belief. I think it was societal. I think it was just like, well, this is just the expectation. This is what you hear from other people. And I'm like, how damaging, because I feel like, up until I've never really heard what we call, or what I would like to say, like a healthy masculine perspective of what guys really need. And it's like, well, that's because men are terrified of speaking their minds and then being rejected, right? And so,
well, they're afraid of the feelings.
They're afraid of the feelings.
It's not afraid. The rejection is a lot easier to handle. They're afraid of like the feelings being the cause of all damage that's going to be done. If I open my heart, it will be hurt.
Right.
That's the only option. They can't open their heart.
Yeah.
And like, look at the guys who are heart side warriors who go out there and just put their heart on the table. These guys are, man, they're angry. Because they're like, every time I put it on the table, it's just pushed off the table. Yeah. There's a common one brought up. And like, what's the cruelty of women look like? Being able to just reject people the way that they do. I mean, this isn't the only direction I'm going to go, but you guys saw the Nora Vincent thing where she did like the Nora dressed as Ned. Did you watch that study that she did?
No, but my husband told me about it.
Yeah, but this was years ago when she did this. Yeah. This is not a recent thing, but Nora Vincent dressed as Ned. She did this for, I think it was roughly a year and a half total of her whole experiment, because I think she's a lesbian woman. So she was already, the concept of where she was at was like the best man in the world would be a woman in a man's body. That was her belief system when she started the experiment. And she very quickly realized, once interacting with the opposite sex, this was not true. That is not what women were looking for, because there's a lot of relationship conversations that did not go that way healthily in any way. But she really struggled with like the way guys are treated, because she was not treated kindly. The rejection from women was so rough and so mean that she really struggled with like how much damage that she took being a guy. She's like, I've never been treated so poorly. Like, we're just treated not well. And when she was struggling also with the identity aspect of playing back and forth with being a guy versus a girl, going to the men's mental health groups and seeing the pure pain in a man, and then also understanding like the way that I think she would go to strip clubs and things like this and realize that guys weren't having an emotional attachment to like looking at another woman. It was just, we're visual creatures. This doesn't mean I'm in love. It's just like, well, that looks nice. But it wasn't because we were being malicious. It was biological. And they were like, that was interesting too. She said, I really thought it was more like selfish than that. But really, it's more like hunger pain versus, emotional intent. So it was more biological than it was like, an emotional thing. She's like, fascinating to see. This is how guys weren't doing this for a pleasure. They were doing it more as like a need. Interesting. That's why hungry, horny appreciation. It's the horny part is a thing. Like we do need that. We are creatures like this. So that part was hard. What was more interesting is Nora Vincent, after doing this, said that messing around with identity and how much damage that she took, she ended up committing suicide in Switzerland about a little time after that. She said it was too much damage that she took on, and it was too much confusion and too much mental health stuff that came from that. And she took her own life. And this was eye-opening for a lot of people, because if a woman took on what a man takes on, even for a year and a half, it was too much to handle. Yet we're just expected to take it on with not 1 ounce of consideration.
Well, again, and going back to, even my thought process of like, at what point did I believe that a man should be emotionless or, just like a rock, a robot, all of those things? And really, this is a call out to all the women that are listening to this. Is like, we have to change our perspective. Hence why Rick is here. Like, we have to change our perspective of men and actually seek to understand from a very safe and vulnerable place, and it's perfectly okay to do so. Like we should want to seek to understand ourselves more and to change our perspective of both ourselves and like, why are we so judgmental? Why are we, where have these beliefs come from that a man should be a rock, that a man should be emotionless, that a man should just, be a slave? Basically, honestly, that's what it sounds like. Is like a man is literally like a slave. Like, oh, we don't want your opinion, but just go and do all these things for us. And it's like, wow, it is in a horrifying way, some kind of sick, twisted modern day version of slavery. And it's like, and there's a ton of women I know who would be out there celebrating that, but that is so inhumane. Like we, like ended slavery for a reason. And yet now we've just like redefined it. Like that's very sick and very damaging, as, I hope the women who are listening are seeing. And so it's like, another level of accountability is needed for us women, especially. And, for the women that are like, oh, I, want to help my husband in addition to, and also want him to get help. I mean, like that is also why Rick is here on this podcast, is to, show that there is a path out of this kind of behavior for both men and women. And, there's a path out of the loneliness for men, working with Rick, and there's a path out of that, sense of judgment for the women, from that feminine energy perspective, because like, that's one of the most beautiful things that I teach is like, women don't have to come to conclusions about anything. You can just be open, and you don't have to like, it opens up that heart-centeredness of being able to like see other people, because you're not, the walls are down, basically, the self-preservation safety mechanism doesn't need to be there anymore. So we can actually see and hold space for the men in our life without judgment. And then there's also, as you've mentioned, like another level of self-accountability for women who are like, okay, even for myself, like I mentioned, like there's still things I'm learning every single day that I'm like, it is really hard work to change behavior that you demonstrated for the last like 10 to 15 to 20, however many years it might be. But it's like, I need to do this because my man is hurting and I cannot be the source of it. Like it was more, and that's ultimately what I have to face every day is like, I don't want to be the source of a continuing pain for my husband. Like I have to be the one that has to be willing to be strong and to make changes in myself and my own behavior, as much as it is going to feel like it's going to kill me, because a lot of things are like, you don't even realize you're even doing it until it's out of your mouth and the damage is done. Right. And they are like, oh, and have to go and apologize can be really painful. But it is also like, again, it comes back to, I don't want to be the source of my husband's loneliness and pain, or a man's loneliness and pain. And so for a woman to be able to take accountability and to show up and acknowledge and be like, yeah, I haven't been behaving rightly. It's been coming from a place of like, I just want to judge and I just want my man to be a rock. And it's like, okay, we need to rethink this. We need to reevaluate how we're acting around the men in our lives, and especially for your boys, if you have boys and you're raising boys. So, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Is there anything else that you feel like is super pertinent for women to hear that you haven't already mentioned?
I think that, well, if they try to do what we just talked about, it's already level 10 difficulty. Having empathy for your man, the wavy lines are trickier, because for men, the wavy lines for us, there's not, like with kids, we don't have as many wavy lines, like bedtime at 8:30, make sure you eat your vegetables, take care of your stuff. Wavy lines with kids, not there. With our women, though, we have very wavy lines. With women, with kids, it's the wavy lines. Just do whatever you want. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But with men, no wavy lines. So it's going to be trickier in this relationship because I have wavy lines for my girl, but no wavy lines for me. It's absolutely straight line. But
there's no room.
There's no room. There's no room for kind of humanity. I want to give another piece too, just because we jump off here. You said I have to go back and apologize. Oftentimes, if done incorrectly, apology is shame. It's a shame system. Say you're sorry.
I can see that.
I'm sorry. No, say you're sorry like you mean it.
Right.
That's feel bad for who you are. That's shame. I'm going to put a thing. Andrea and I very, very, very rarely apologize, unless it's like, we really fucked it up. But like, we very rarely apologize. And the reason I say that is, what seems more important to you? Oh, I hurt your feelings. Sorry. Right. Or, hey, I saw what I did. That hurt your feelings. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I learned I need to be a little bit more open with you so I don't react that way. So I'm going to be working much harder to not do that anymore. Is that okay with you? Which one's better? Sorry, or I learned my lesson. I'm going to grow from it. Are we good? Which one do you like?
Yeah, it's like it needs to be an apology from transparency, not just simply an apology.
Correct. Because one is just shame. The other is growth.
Yep.
But
No,
it's
that's
also,
a really good distinction.
it's also easier to be able to say, I'm going to be showing my heart to grow with you versus saying, I'm just going to feel bad for who I am, so you leave me alone.
One is more self-centered. The other is not self-centered at all.
Yeah. But what one felt better? Me saying sorry or, hey, I'm going to grow for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and so this is something when people are like, oh my God, I got to go apologize for this. It's like, well, maybe not. Maybe at least acknowledge that you did some damage. Also acknowledge what you learned from it. And then here's my strategy that I'm going to do to try to make it so I can grow for us. You don't have to say sorry to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to put out there. So like, I know sometimes people are like, oh my God, I have a lot of apologizing to do. Maybe it's more just growing and then acknowledging how you guys are growing together. It's a little bit easier than feeling ashamed of who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that is, because in my mind, that's what I see as apologizing. But I love that you brought that up because a lot of people would not see, apologizing can mean different things. So is there anything else that you feel like a woman should be aware of or a woman should know in the context of being able to understand?
I think that if giving them the empathy assignment is already level 10, let's just start with listen to understand. Like empathy is something that you have to grow towards getting, and so women are empathetic towards babies, empathetic towards friends, empathetic towards children, but not empathetic towards their men. And in order to level yourself up, start off with just listening to understand, and there's a joke that came from a therapist who would say there's a husband and wife in therapy. And, he said, if you guys are arguing, there's a trick that you can do to make the argument stop. And he told the wife, here's what you do. Whenever you guys are arguing, you just put water in your mouth and just start swishing water. And she's like, that doesn't even make any sense. He's like, just try it. Well, the husband and wife get an argument. So she's like, you're pissing me off. So she puts the water in her mouth. She's like, swishing water. And like, she's in his face. And she's like, swish, 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 swish. It's like swishing water right in his face. And he's looking at her like, what the heck? And she's just swishing the shit out of that water. And then he's like, all right. And then the argument, just kind of just dissipated and stopped. And she was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why did that even happen? So they get another argument a few days later. Same thing. She's like, oh, I'm tired of this already. So she starts swishing water, swish, 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 swish. And the argument just fades out and just stops. And like, what the hell? So they go back to the therapist. They say, hey, I did the swish water. Why does that work? Because it stopped the arguments each time. Why does he stop when I swish water? He said, sometimes the arguments just require you to stop talking. Sometimes you just need to swish water instead of continuing to throw that gasoline on the fire. Sometimes all it requires is you just to listen instead of have to keep trying to talk. And in which case, I would just start off with like, sometimes all of us, even guys, sometimes we just need to swish water. Sometimes just listen. Listen to understand. It's okay to disagree. And I think this is where here's one before we go. Submission.
Oh my gosh, that's a hot
naughty word. Naughty word, right? Bad word. Submission. Guys, don't expect their women to just sit down. This isn't old biblical beat her with the rod days. Even my girl struggles. I'm like, no, submission for us isn't I talk and you never talk. It's just don't be as aggressive and argumentative. Just listen to understand, and it's okay for us to disagree. But I'll talk, you listen. You talk, I listen. We hear each other. Can we have an agreement? Great. If not, we disagree, and that's fine too. Submission isn't like sit down and shut up and do what I tell you to. This isn't, like you said, a form of slavery. It's just don't rise up as an aggressor, because it does, like, let's just switch it a little bit. Imagine, Miriam, if women were 3 to 6 times stronger than men. How much restraint from whooping that ass do you think women would have?
I've never contemplated that before, so I honestly have no idea.
Just think about it for a second. You've had some emotional moments. Imagine if you were emotional, you are 3 to 5 times stronger than him. And if he ever back-talked you sure you want to do that? Imagine the restraint it would take if you were guaranteed way stronger. The restraint you would have to not whoop that ass when he's getting out of line. When he says stuff to you that was so far beyond anybody in your life ever talking to you that way. You have fought people for way less than what he's saying right now, and you are guaranteed that you would whoop his ass. What kind of restraint would you have to not do it?
Oh my goodness. It's like some alternate universe type stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, because I feel like a lot of morality plays into this, but I guess if I was someone who wasn't as much of a moral person, probably not, is what I'm guessing.
Look, how many women with a guaranteed W, if they started fighting a dude, was 100% victory? There was no risk of damage. You're going to whoop his ass.
Right.
This is, you can superhero movie this thing. If you were the one who like, don't talk to me like that. Oh yeah, bitch, blah, blah, blah. Did you say bitch? Like 3 to 6 times stronger. If you lay hands, he's toast.
Mm-hmm.
What level of restraint in some of those arguments, you'd be like, you do know I'll throw you through that door, right? What level of restraint would you have to have when your emotions are at the highest?
I mean, a lot of restraint, for sure.
This is where it gets into that thing for like, if we're going to take an account, I did the math. Even my oldest daughter, she's hitting 17 this month. And we did the math. They're athletes. I've got athlete girls. They're tough. I got tough girls. They're athletes. I am numerically 6 times stronger than her. My max lift versus her max lift, I am 6 times stronger than her. And I'm a trained fighter. In no universe here could she ever stop me in any capacity. Yet, the restraint I have to have when they're aggressive and mean and cruel. It's the same thing in relationships. You don't appreciate that a guy has a guaranteed gorilla strength W if he were to lay hands. And he doesn't. Because a majority guys are not out beating women. The vast majority of men are not out just beating women. They're just not. There may be some outliers, and of course it's going that way because look at the boys who are raised without fathers to teach them respect, and they don't know how to respect a woman, and a woman doesn't respect a man, and you're talking about equality, so at what point is the boy just going to go, you're a human? I grew up with only women, and they would whip your ass, so I'll whip your ass. Like, there's no restraint coming with this world that's coming, and so in which case respect the people who can absolutely throw you through a door. And I would take the Pepsi challenge on it. Real talk. Like any girls who are like, girls are stronger than guys. My bench right now is 330. I'm a $180. I bench 330 right now. Squat is still at 400. Like, are there some women stronger? Yeah. 0.01% of women are stronger than me. If I go to a men's like lifting competition, I can't even get into the prelims. But if I were to identify female right now, I would be in the top 1% of the strongest women on earth. Like, the restraint for even a guy who couldn't even get into a men's competition. Respect this. Please respect that if you had this much power, I don't know if you would have the restraint that most men have. Because most men do not beat women. Most. Majority. Vast majority. So what kind of respect do we have for somebody who's got gorilla strength but doesn't use it on you? In fact, the only shield that gets wildly disrespected is that I love you too much to hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I love that because that's like women need that perspective. It's a perspective that is not often discussed or, talked about very much. So I think that that's huge.
Yeah, hopefully it helps somebody go like, maybe respect and don't be so damn aggressive. Maybe don't call names, throw things. Be cruel, belittle, nag, push him down and tear him down as a human being because the only reason he's not using his super strength on you is because he loves you or respects, himself, his mother, his women in his life enough not to do it. And yet there is no submission toward that. There is no respect. There is no honor. And What kind of guy are you expecting when you're supposed to be a lady and he's supposed to be a gentleman? And you're not doing your part, but he's still supposed to. In fact, it's expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like for women that are listening and that are like, how do I really ultimately change, right? Like my perspective and my judgment and everything. I mean, like, this is why I coach in feminine energy. And this is also, why Rick is like, the men's expert, because it does take working on both sides to be able to come together and to really have that, serenity and that flow in the yin and the yang between the two. It is super important to be able, and I mean, even for myself, and I mean, my husband and I discussed this on our podcast, is, it did take for me to do my work first before he then felt safe. I had to rectify that, his inability to feel safe to communicate with me. I had to do the work first in order for him to be able to actually be like, oh, I can actually, communicate with you in this way, because before it wasn't safe for him to do so. And so, for the women that are listening, if you're like, yeah, I really want to see a change in my man, then it's like, okay, well, let's talk about what that looks like. So, Rick, for the women that
working with you will help them change the way they see their man.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not that their man needs to change. You just need to change your belief systems and work on the filters that you see the world through. So you can actually see the reason you married that guy is because he was the best one you knew.
Exactly.
But somehow you forgot.
Totally. And that's easy. It's easy to forget. So for the women that are listening that want to, open up this conversation to their partners or to the men in their life, and they want to give them, like, hey, here's, like you were saying, the community. How should, where should the women either send the information to their husbands, or, how do people contact you? Give us all the info.
All right. So our spots, we got a few spots here. I know that the main website right now, it's battle dash the Warriors Way mindset. It's Warriors Way mindset. Please do not forget the mindset, or you'll end up in one of like either a movie, or you'll end up in Joyce Meyer's books. Like you'll end up somewhere. You're going to end up going somewhere else. Warriors Way mindset. You'll find us pretty easily. Our TikTok is pretty big. But you'll find us everywhere. YouTube, you'll find us on Spotify, in the Battlefield of the Mind. You'll find us in a lot of different spots. But if you go to our website, I think you can even get there through the warriorswaymindset.com. If you go there through these parts, you'll be able to book an appointment or get some low-ticket offers and some do-it-yourself things. We've got a lot of different stages that you can operate on. For our men, we are stronger together. It doesn't matter your warrior type. And so we do have full units that we put together and we train together. And so we have veterans and we have guys who work together in all aspects. What do we do on our side? It's more mind and body. There are spirit groups. There are heart groups out there. What we do is practice more the tactics, the practical application, the strategies, the action, the persistence. We're the step-by-step and how do you handle things. So we get into the part of you that's your warrior, your perseverance, hold your boundaries. Where's your strength? Know thyself, know thy enemy, know how to battle. We're the stronger, hard side of things. You do need to know hurt and you do need to know spirit, but I'm not a pastor and I'm not a heart coach. I get into how are we going to do it? Let's go. Like we lock shields, we battle fear, doubt, depression, anger, anxiety. We go through all of it and I teach you how to win. So if you're in the battlefield of the mind and you're tired of getting your ass kicked, book a call and then I'll start teaching you how to start winning those fights.
Cool. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast here. I really hope it was informative for the women that listened, and I'm sure that we will do this again very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Miriam.
Cool. I'm just going to stop recording, but we can still talk. Thank you so much for listening and or watching today's podcast episode with Rick. If you felt like this conversation was triggering, take that as a good sign. If you haven't heard me say this already, being triggered is literally one of the best things because it tells you exactly where to grow. And this is why, like, it can be an uncomfortable experience being triggered, but the more you can sit with that feeling, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to get out of life. And this is where, like, when you get into a healed feminine energetic state, you rarely feel triggered about pretty much anything anymore because you're like, oh, I need to grow. Cool. Perfect. Like, oh, why am I feeling resistance here in this conversation? Oh, probably because there's something here I need to learn. And so you become much more like open and willing to receive the transformation that you get from the conversations because it's meant for you. So take that as a sign. Like, why is there resistance here in this conversation? What is it I need to learn? Is there something I need to do or change here? And so if that's something that you really want to work on and you want to work on this with your partner and you want to work on yourself in order to better your relationship and to really help, this avenue of like having a healthy relationship with a man in your life, then schedule a call with me on my website. Let's chat. Let's discuss. Because doing this work with women is some of the most gratifying work ever. Like when I am able to help a woman change her relationship with her husband for the better, it is literally like I get goosebumps, because seeing how that affects their day-to-day living, absolutely mind-blowing in the best way possible. And it makes me giddy, because I'm just like, holy crap, like feminine energy. I mean, and you've heard me say it a million times, it is so freaking powerful, because this is why. A lot of the things that Rick was saying in this podcast about like, we as women, we have been going down these wrong paths that have been emasculating our husbands, and it's causing them more pain, causing them more loneliness. And the best thing that we can do is work on us through feminine energy, and we get to have it all. Like we get to have a better life, less anxiety, less stress, more joy, more happiness, more fun, more sex. And in addition to that, you get to help your partner, and you get to help your marriage, your relationship, whatever it might be. And so the impact is astounding. And so if you're like, yep, I really want to work in that area, let's chat. This is literally what I help women with. And it is, again, amazing. And I'm going to help you work through that discomfort. Like, okay, what is it that is causing, the anger and the frustration with your partner? And we can work through those literally within the first call. It's incredible. But if you're like, you know what, I think I just need to work on me, and I need to work on me first, and I want to do that through feminine energy before targeting the conversation or the context of like the relationship, then I have the Awakening Your Feminine journal. It's the cheapest. How do I even say that? It's the cheapest way to start your feminine energy journey and to start this area of personal development for yourself. It is just around $30, and you can order it via my website. It's literally going to take you through the 4 phases of feminine energy, which is what I do with my coaching clients, but you're going to get it in a kind of condensed miniature version that you can work through in a journal format. So you can write. It's an actual hard physical copy, so it's going to be shipped to you. And it's just a great thing to start on. If you're like, yeah, I think I want to work on this, and I really want to open myself up to feminine energy and tap into this lifestyle, then that is the best place to start. If you're looking for that personalized approach, then, you can schedule a call with me. But here's the thing. I have a little bonus for you, because I am starting a 2-month and 8-week group study for this journal. So essentially what that means is you're going to get a walkthrough with me with calls as we go through the journal together. So it's a great way if you think you're going to have questions and you want to really have accountability for going through the journal and really starting to transform your life. Then join what we call the VIP journal experience. It is going to be starting on July 17th. And so you have time now to sign up. We're only taking a limited number of people, because I want to make sure that the people that are coming in are going to be able to get their questions answered. And so it's going to be 8 weeks. We have a call every other week, so that will give you time to work on the questions in the journal. And then you could come back with the questions to the calls. So check it out. Only if you think that you're interested. And most important, and like if you want to sign up, the link's going to be below. Here's the thing. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anything, the link is always going to be in the description. So definitely check that out. And then if you're watching on YouTube, it's the same thing. The link is always going to be in the description. And most importantly, I'm just so grateful that you're here and that you're listening to this conversation and that you're being open-minded. I feel like, listening to these podcasts is always a good sign of that you're working towards this openness, which is the first phase that I talk about in the journal of opening yourself up and starting the journey of feminine energy. So share this podcast with a friend if you thought it was really amazing and helpful. Go follow Rick. He is incredible. And most importantly, like, subscribe, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and come and also like and subscribe on YouTube. So I love you all so much. I'm literally so grateful that you're here listening. And please share this with a friend. Come and talk to us in the Facebook group. I absolutely love, and I get feedback, and I actually can structure podcast topics based on what you guys want from posting in that Facebook group. So come and share. Would love to see you there. Again, the link for that is down below. And I will talk to you in the next podcast. Much love. Thank you so much for listening and or watching our podcast episode today on Awakening the Feminine Within. If you had a light bulb moment, or you had something that you are like, oh my gosh, this lit a fire within me, and you want to share it, or you want to hear feedback, or you want to be surrounded by like-minded women who are trying to transform their lives and work less, have a better life, then come and join our Facebook group. It is called The Intuitive Women. And we encourage you to share any kind of discussion there about your journey, about what you heard today, or to find resources, perhaps that you liked the guest speaker that we had today, or you like the information and you want to search more about them and their information. Come and join the Facebook group. We would love to have you there, and any other information that you might want to find about feminine energy, what I do, who I am, and about coaching, courses, classes, workshops, and all that good stuff. You're going to find that on miriambulcher.com/awakening the feminine within. Thanks so much. And be sure to share this with a friend, rate our podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe. And if you're listening, please subscribe as well. See you on the next episode.
Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.